Hi everyone, I'm just quickly popping in to give you an update on my dye project. Some of you have messaged me and asked me about the process, what's the outcome. So there, I'm happy to let you know that it was a success. I'm actually wearing the linen pants that I dyed. Just want to show you. There you go. So I'm happy that I was able to achieve the even distribution of the dye. Everything was really covered because this is natural fiber. It was easy to dye, and you really have a specific dye that you use for natural fibers versus if you dye synthetic fabric. So iba yung klase ng dye na ginagamit doon. But if just to walk you through the process real quick, it involved me having to boil gallons of water, and the challenge was keeping the water hot because you have to keep the dye bath 60 degrees Celsius at least or higher. And if you're transporting the water from your pot to the tub, it takes a little longer. So I wouldn't recommend that you do this in your bathtub. I am just scared that the bathtub might get stained, diba? So I didn't want to risk that. So I used a palanggana that's big enough to really soak the pants because when you prepare your dye bath, the garment that you're dyeing really needs to be soaked and you have to be able to stir it into the mixture. Try to imagine para kayong nagsisigang ng damit, something like that. I know, it's such a weird analogy, right? So you have to keep mixing it there. For me, it was 30 minutes. And you have to keep the temperature hot. When you plan to do this, you really have to carve out time in your schedule and siguro try niyo muna ng isang garment because pagka maramihan, syempre, you need more water for that and kailangan nyo rin timplahin yung dye. So, yeah, just to show you all again, this is the result. Even naman yung distribution ng dye. And after you take it off the dye bath, you also have to treat it with the dye fixative. And that's another 20 minutes. And that's another round of boiling gallons of water because you want to lock in the color. You want to lock in the dye doon sa garment. And then after that, after you treat it with the dye fixative, then that's when you wash it with cool water, and then you can even use some mild detergent, and then you just let it dry, and that's it. So there, it looks easy, but seriously, it's quite a feat. So I'm just letting you know about my experience. And I'll try to put together a guide that just so if you're thinking of doing this, just to refresh your clothing. Because sometimes kasi we would have some items in our closet which are still really good. They fit us so well. The structure of the garment is good. Kaya lang siguro nga through time, because you've been wearing it for so long and then you've gone through the washes and all that, the color fades and you just want to refresh that. Now, the story is different if you want to change the color altogether because that involves you having to strip away the original color, pre-wash it and all that. So with this one, I also had to pre-wash it because I had to make sure that it didn't have any obstacles for the dye to bond to the fabric. So there. Thank you.